Your top stories this evening, sponsored by Courts, bringing value home. Guyana's 911 system up and running. GCOM's chairman at age 84. Justice Patterson says he's very much capable. Action will be taken from the slow commission of inquiry. Will top cop Silal Prasad return to office? And it's shameless. Minister Harmon thrashes the PPP for their hullabaloo in Parliament. HGP Nightly News begins now. Good evening to our viewers here in Guyana and online. This is your Friday, November 3 edition of the HGP Nightly News. I'm Travis Chase. Thanks for joining. Here's what you need to know this evening. The 911 system is up and running. The importance, though, of police quick response was highlighted. Javon Vickery opens our broadcast this evening.
After millions spent on the rehabilitation of Guyana's emergency 911 system, it is now fully operational, thanks to telecommunications provider GTT and Digicel. Speaking at the commissioning ceremony, Public Security Minister Kemraj Ramjatan explained that the technologically advanced system can be reached as far as the hinterland region. He, however, stressed on the importance of quick response from the police whenever legitimate calls are made to the 911 call center.
A lax attitude, a lackadaisical attitude is not going to take us places. Never. And it is important then that you understand, yes, you are getting the training, but it is important that also you be self-initiators to go beyond the bounds that we presently are going. You be like the real geniuses that we are going to have to follow tomorrow. And so it is important.
To prevent future technical glitches with the 911 system, the minister explained that an approach of archiving issues and resolutions must be adopted by the police force.
You know why the Western countries are far more developed than us? One of the contributing reasons is because they archive every little development that they had a problem with and they put it and they store it for the next generation. It is what I have learned in the law. They create, whenever there is a dispute, the decision and whatever, the arguments, and they put it in what is called law reports. So a similar problem occurred today. They could find a case that was similar in 1899, 1921. It's called precedent set. And I am urging as part of the development of this police force that we archive the developments as they come up and as we deal with them.
In April 2014, former PPP General Secretary Clement Rohi had blamed the problem on GTT. The phone company issued a statement saying that the unresponsiveness of the 911 personnel system had nothing to do with the company. In March of this year, Minister of State Joseph Harmon announced that a contract for $28 million was awarded to Digicel to get the 911 system up and running. Javon Vickery, HGP Nightly News.
Minister of State Joseph Harmon has thrashed the opposition People's Progressive Party for their hullabaloo in Parliament on Thursday, while the President addressed the House. The minister's comments in this Roydon James report.
The opposition MPs armed themselves with placards and chanted throughout the hour-long speech by President Granger during the 71st sitting of Parliament on Thursday. Minister of State Joseph Harmon denounced this kind of behavior by the opposition MPs.
I thought this was most shameless. I believe it is basically because, not only because it was the president was there, he's the highest office holder in the land, but we invited all of these these diplomats, heads of departments of government to hear the president, and for the opposition to seize that opportunity to drown the president out. It's disrespectful. It's not only disrespectful to him, but disrespectful to all of those persons who came here to hear the president speak.
Mr. Harmon said the display by the opposition has sunk Guyana's parliamentary democracy to a very low level.
With the placards and the chanting and on as if it was a market scene, It was not a meeting by the marketplace. This is the National Assembly. And it is time that people start to mark the opposition on these displays that they're having. If the leaders of that party could behave in this way, what do you expect their supporters to do on the streets?
It is a very dangerous precedent, Mr. Harmon said, that is being set by the opposition and Mr. Jagdeo.
This disrespect is unheard of. As I said to you before, it's not just because the president is speaking, but all of those persons who came to hear him speak, they were denied that opportunity by the worthless chanting of all sorts of unnecessary slogans in this National Assembly.
Royd and James, HGP Nightly News.
You're watching the HGP Nightly News. Royd and James will now continue with that interview with GCOM's chairman, Justice James Patterson. In this report, Justice Patterson cleared up statements about a Facebook page reportedly under the PNC with his name attached to it. He also spoke of his suitability for the job at 84.
There are mounting concerns about Mr. Patterson's ability to effectively function as a chairman of GCOM. In light of these concerns, Justice Patterson believes he is fit and proper to be GCOM's chairman at age 84.
If they want to get angry about that, it's none of my business. There's no way I would take this job unless I felt I could function in it. I don't intend to get into public brawl because the standard of discourse, political discourse, has reached the very nadir, and it is awful.
The opposition PPP is also challenging Mr. Patterson's appointment on the grounds that he is an active member of a Facebook group belonging to the People's National Congress. He was asked about that Facebook account. Is this a genuine account? Is this a fake something?
The assumption is I know about it. I do not. I can barely get into Facebook because the inbox says, you send me something. I am totally IT ignorant. I can type and so because I had to learn that. But I don't visit Facebook at all.
Mr. Patterson said he is not even aware that the Facebook group exists.
I know that I'm not conscious of getting into it. I don't know how you get into it. But that is of little moment to me. You can't stop anybody from doing things like that. In fact, a philosophy that sustained me is that what you, I don't mean personally, of course, what anybody thinks about me is none of my business.
Justice Patterson reminded of the oath he took as GCOM's chairman.
The night I was sworn in, as the president and I wended our way to the, I think it looked like a conference room, I said to the president these words. I said, that oath I took, I meant it, you know. He said, yes, I know that, I know that. Then we sat down at the table. For a brief moment, we were alone. And he said this to me, it's worth saying. He said, I'm concerned that we should get cracking. I'm paraphrasing what he said. With the local elections. I said, I too am anxious about it. And then he said, and whatever the consequence or the results are, so be it. So we are reading from the same page in the same hymn book.
Royd and James, HGP Nightly News.
Thank you, Royden. There is word that action will be taken soon against those law enforcement agents mentioned in that slow COI report. More details in this report. Cabinet has reviewed the recommendations from the recently concluded slow Commission of Inquiry into the alleged plot to assassinate President David Granger. Minister of State Joseph Harmon hinted to reporters on Friday that government will act upon the recommendations outlined in that report.
The recommendations have not been delivered. The actions on the recommendations as such have not been made public as yet. They are in the contemplation still of His Excellency, but I can say to you that we've taken those recommendations very seriously, and action will be taken on them.
Harmon admitted that the report has made some serious recommendations and that those recommendations will be handled carefully.
The COI points to very serious challenges insofar as the way in which the police force is organized, and the fact that we will need to do some adjustments and some serious look at the way in which the force is being run and managed.
The slow report recommended that top cop Silal Prasad be made to resign from the office of police commissioner, and that he, Prasad, improperly inserted himself in the investigation while he was on leave. Now, Mr. Prasad is scheduled to return to his chair by November 18. Minister Harmon was asked specifically whether a decision has been taken to give the top cop marching orders.
So you will get something very soon on these recommendations. I can promise you that.
The report also recommended disciplinary action against Assistant Police Commissioner Clifton Hicken, Crime Chief Wendell Blanham, Major Crimes Head Mitchell Caesar, and Acting Police Commissioner David Ramnarayan, among others.
So you have the recommendations of the COI, and then you also have other recommendations which have been made by the person who is looking at the security sector reform program. So we'll fit all of these things into place, and the recommendations will fit into those, and the actions which should be taken will be based on the recommendations of the COI and the determinations also of the security sector reform program.
One major find in that inquiry is that the police deliberately failed to investigate the report made by Andrew Gillard that he was offered $7 million by Mr. Khan to assassinate President Granger. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. Funds for the reconstruction of the Camp Street prison were among several requests made by the Public Security Minister in the 2018 national budget. Javon Vickery has more.
Public Security Minister Kemraj Ramjatan, responding to a question from Nightly News, explained that in the 2018 national budget for the ministry, there were several requests for assets to help the police force with their crime-fighting posture. The police in 2017 received a number of equipment and assets from several donor agencies. Minister Ramjatan further noted that the assets and equipment, if granted by the Ministry of Finance, will be deployed to different branches of the force. Emphasis will also be placed on funds for intelligence gathering.
It's a lot of assets, more or less, for prison, for fire, for the police force. I ask for lots more monies for intelligence gathering, because in Guyana, you have to get some funds for people to feel comfortable before they can give you the information. I ask for more training, sending people overseas, so the budgetary allocations ask in relation to that line item.
On July 9, 2017, the Camp Street prison was destroyed after several prisoners lit mattresses in a number of prison cells. After that dreadful occurrence, there was uncertainty as to when or if the facility will be rebuilt.
Oh yes, the reconstruction of the Camp Street prison would be a very expensive exercise, and we are dealing with a company that might very well... We have to make a selection. I think the selection was made yesterday by the Gladwin Samuels and Mr. Pilgrim and our PS, after they would have gotten some interest groups stating what they could provide at what cost.
The Ministry of Public Security's request of over $700 million for the cleanup and refurbishment of the Camp Street prison following its destruction in July 9 after the fire was approved back in August in the National Assembly. This sum makes provision for, but is not limited to, the cleanup at the Camp Street prison, refurbishments of dormitories, security system, medical center, and the Capitol block. Javon Vickery, HGP Nightly News.
President David Granger has maintained that the economy is not on a downward trajectory, but there has been growth. The president's remarks came during his address to the parliament on Thursday. Rodin James has more.
President David Granger is firm on the position that the country's economy is on the right path. He was at the time addressing the 71st sitting of the National Assembly on Thursday. Mr. Granger did not give credit to the perception that the economy is on the decline.
The nation's economy has been prudently managed over the past 30 months. This has allowed for moderate economic growth of 3.1% in 2015 and 3.3% in 2016.
The president admitted that there is an unfavorable external environment, which, according to him, his administration managed to pull through.
Gold was a major contributor to this growth, with 712,707 ounces being produced last year, the highest in the country's history. Mr. Speaker, economic growth would not have been possible without the achievement of macroeconomic stability.
The Guyanese leader said the Ministry of Finance has been working to create a favorable environment for business development, to protect investment and to maintain a stable exchange rate.
Your government has adopted measures to improve the living standards of workers. The minimum wage of public servants increased by over 50%. From $39,540 to $60,000 within the past 60 months.
The president also spoke about some budget measures his government undertook, which he noted will benefit all Guyanese. Roy and James, HGP Nightly News.
Welcome back to the HGP Nightly News. Vendors operating at the Merriman Small, Georgetown, will soon have their locations spruced up and modernized before the festive season. Kristen Macklingam reports.
The Mayor and City Council has embarked on a project at the Merriman Small to have these changes made before the end of the year.
We don't want this portion of the city to look like a shanty town, and that is why we want to have a standard prototype kind of stall that would allow this particular area to not only attract Guyanese but also to attract foreigners and people who are coming to tour this part of the world.
The town clerk explained that it is necessary to have the landscape where these vendors operate reshaped, and that this will also assist in making their stalls look more appealing to customers.
We are moving to reshape the landscape and aesthetics. The Merriman Small, the portion that is used by the beauty practitioners, we want to put down some kiosks there that would allow those who are operating there to do their business. Already we have on-site sand, and by tomorrow we will have other materials. We're hoping to begin building the first set of kiosks for those vendors before the beginning of the festive season.
According to Mr. King, the plans that the MNCC has in store for the markets in Georgetown will be realized sooner rather than later.
And give us a few more weeks, and you will see how different that particular area will be. You will see the difference in the landscape, the difference in the aesthetics, and they will be able to do much more business as we move again to upgrade that particular part of the city as well.
Reporting for HGP Nightly News, I am Kristen Macklingam.
Thank you, Kristen. 100 students from the Cape and CSEC levels on Thursday graduated following their stint at President's College. Here again is Kristen Macklingam.
The 2017 graduating class of President's College were in high spirits on Thursday when they stood in front of a large audience consisting of family, friends, and teachers. This year's batch consisted of 83 CSEC students and 17 Cape students who sat the examinations earlier this year. The principal of the school expressed appreciation for the academic accomplishments of the students of 2017.
And hereby encourage you to upkeep your stellar performance as you work assiduously to continually maintain the high performance level.
She noted that these students expressed a high level of camaraderie, discipline, and commitment to their studies, and that their hard work paid off.
Indeed, there were numerous challenges and constraints during the academic year 2016-2017. But the tributes evident in today's exercise is testimony to the fact that the end result yield much success.
Meanwhile, Chief Education Officer Marcel Hudson stated that education provides a way of escape from the vagaries of life and can help persons become more marketable in securing higher paying and better jobs.
Education is a process by which people acquire knowledge, skills, habits, values, and attitudes that will make them become useful members of society, functional members of society. It helps people to develop an appreciation of their cultural heritage and live more satisfying lives.
Reporting for HGP Nightly News, I am Kristen Macklingam.
You'll now hear from a few students as they share their thoughts on what can be done to strengthen the education system at all levels.
The laboratory should be improved and should have more lab equipments in there to help with us. And on another base, I think that we should have more textbook because not every parent will be able to purchase textbook, and the government should help to give us textbook to help with our studies with the syllabus.
That was Akeem Crandon. He gained passes in 10 subjects. Crandon, who is a science student, aspires to work in the health sector.
Most people focus on the academics. I think they should venture off into the, co-curriculum activities. Well, I'm a sports person. I play cricket, and my 5 years here, we used to play between the catwalk and, it's like a 10 feet width. You can't really play anything there.
Said Khan, another successful graduate. He stressed that the Ministry of Education needs to focus more on school facilities. Khan, who is into sports, believes that Guyana can benefit greatly from students who are very talented. But first, there must be proper facilities. Meet Gaya Shitoram, who gained passes in 13 subjects. She believes that teachers and students should communicate more.
In the education system, I would like to see the change within with teachers and students. I think there's a gap between the bond with teachers and students, as we may see that some teachers may not be able to communicate with students and understand students personally. And also, I think education-wise, we should be able to break that gap, teachers and students, and we should be able to understand each other.
Reporting for HGP Nightly News, Ayana George.
Thank you, Ayana. Your Sportscast is ahead. Thanks for staying tuned. I'm Colin Abrams with the HGP Sportscast. In cricket, Ghana Jaguars once again impressed with their bowling on Thursday when they dismantled the batting order of Windward Islands Volcanoes on the first day at the Darren Sammy National Cricket Stadium. Stanford Howard has more.
Jaguars, who won the toss and sent the Volcanoes into bat. The Jaguars bowlers wasted no time in attacking in the morning session and sent 3 top-order batsmen back into the pavilion for 38 runs. Hodge with 48 and Edwards with 24 was the only batsman who helped to give the Volcanoes some sort of first innings total. They were eventually bowled out for 153 in 50.5 overs. Rutherford was the best bowler for the Jaguars, taking 6 wickets for 32 runs in 10.5 overs. Jaguars started off rocky in their first innings, losing 1 wicket for 1 run. At one stage of the innings, they were 4 for 89. Looking to follow the traits of their competitors. It was Vishal Singh, 89, and Anthony Bramble, 66, not out, who steered the Jaguars at lunch on day 2 with a lead of 77 runs. For HGP Sports, I'm Stanford Howard.
Thank you, Stanford. Sri Lanka A defied Cottrell Hodge to clinch 10th victory on the first one-day match between West Indies A and Sri Lanka A on November 1 at Sabina Park. Stanford Howard has more in this report.
On the first ODI, West Indies A failed to build on an open partnership of 67 between Hodge and left-hand hometown boy John Campbell. After Campbell caught and bowled in the 19th over by Pushkar Kumar, there were little substance from the rest of the batting. Opener Hodge anchored with 54 from 69 balls, and Rakeem Corwell made 37 to get them to a reputable total of 176 in 48.4 overs. Following a batting collapse. Appasu was the most successful Sri Lankan bowler with 3 for 34 from 10 overs. In the Sri Lankan A replied to a very disappointing score by the Windies. Guyanese Royston Beaton grabbed an early scalp for West Indies A when he removed sudden Red Dock in the second over of the chase. But Cottrell put the Sri Lankans under further pressure, removing Roshan Silva and Dashwani De Silva cheaply before the end of the first power play. Cottrell and off-spinner Rakeem Cornwell continued to make inroads into the Sri Lankan A batting, leaving them 126 for 7 in the 30th over. But the Windies A met a stiff resistance from the visitors' lower order and take them over the finish line. For HGP Sports, I'm Stanford Howard.
Thank you, Stanford. In rodeo, vaqueros from both Guyana and abroad displayed their skills in some daring and defying art sequences in an action-packed day of rodeo at the Rising Sun Turf Club, Berbice. Here's more in this report. The competition was immense as participants from both Guyana and abroad battled for top spots in this year's event. Riders were tossed off their horses in their quest for glory. Among the events contested were the bareback bronco, bull riding, and saddle bronco, which are similar. The vaqueros had to wear a pair of spurs and stay on the animal for 10 seconds, with one hand holding the animal and the other hand must be free, away from the animal at shoulder level at all times. The vaqueros would then throw their hats in the air as a sign of triumph. Wild cow milking, where participants had to rope, restrain, and milk the animal within a period of 2 minutes. In the calf roping, the vaquero on horseback was required to rope a calf around the neck and dismount the horse. Secure 3 feet of the calf by tying it. Stand and raise his hand in the air to indicate that they are done. The persons with the fastest time won. Prizes for the day included cash and trophies and were presented to the outstanding performers immediately after the completion of the final events. And now for hockey. The Guyana Hockey Board has selected 16 females and 17 males to participate in the upcoming qualifiers for the Central America and Caribbean Games 2018 being held in Kingston, Jamaica. The qualifiers are being held at the Mona Complex in Kingston from November 5 to 12. And will feature both male and female competitions simultaneously. As a result of their absence from international indoor competition recently, Ghana finds both its teams vying for the final 2 places in the CAC Games, with those spots going to the top 2 finishers of those qualifiers. The team travels to Jamaica on Saturday on Fly Jamaica, who is also a part sponsor. And in football news, Mohammed's Enterprise 4th Annual Futsal is set to kick off in Linden from November 26 to December 26. With 25 teams set to participate. Stanford Howard has more in this report.
Mr. Mohammed was elated about being a part of the tournament.
You know, it's an honor. You know, sports can, as the president mentioned, can build cohesion. And this is what, you know, we have seen around the world. Because, you know, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, you could have never seen a Muslim player, you know, wearing a big beard playing cricket for different countries, you know. And football players from Africa, you know, Muslims who are integrally involved in sports, you know.
President Wayne Ford mentioned that he is pleased that the tournament is doing well for football.
The tournament has brought much life and excitement to football in the UDFA environment, and every opportunity to give our young players some space to do what their passion and their interest really lies, which is to play football, is one that ought to be supported by all stakeholders. Futsal is clearly growing in its popularity in Guyana, and as Mr. Kenrick Noel rightfully said, the Guyana Futsal Association has an important role to play in the ultimate streamlining and regulating of the futsal fraternity.
The format of the game is a straight knockout tournament. Mr. Andrew Majors spoke of the prizes.
First place, 500,000. Second place, 150,000. Third place, 50,000. Fourth place, trophy.
Sel Smart and Anson McCall are sponsors of the tournament. For HGP Sports, I'm Stanford Howard.
And that has brought us to the end of this edition of the HGP Sportscast. Before we go, remember to work hard and dream big. Goodbye.
Guyana's 911 emergency system up and running. GCOM's chairman at age 84, Justice Patterson, says he's very much capable. Action will be taken from the slow COI, says Minister Harmon. Will top cop Silal Prasad return to office? And it's shameless. Minister Harmon thrashes the PPP for their hullabaloo in Parliament. Those were our major headlines. For these stories and more, please go to our website. It's www.hgptv.com. I'm Travis Chase. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.